Good morning. So you just joined me on my morning walk. So if you've seen the video yesterday, you see the rest of my morning routine. So get up, do my vacuums, do my planks, have my health shake, waiting before that, sorry. And then I usually get in 2,000 to 3,000 steps before I have my first meal. So that's what you're joining me on now. I usually use this time to fill out my daily tracker as well, my coach Cuba. So it's just general things like sleep, weight every morning, mood, energy, fasted blood glucose, what else we got, like desire to train, sleep data as well, so sleep time, sleep quality, wake time, how many times I had a shit, a few like vital bits of information like that. So I usually use this walk to get all that filled in, and then I'm set for my day. So I always like to get the steps in first. I think it's a good way to kind of start your day, gets you out in the fresh air, and also make sure your body is ready for meal one. So blood glucose is nice and low, stomach's nice and empty, and you're ready to accept that first meal of the day. So you seen me yesterday, that was a day spent at home just doing check-ins. So although that's the main thing I do now, I also have a job as well, so I'm a self-employed site engineer, and you're going to join me for a day on site today. So we're off to sunny Leicester, so I'm just going to get these steps boxed off. The van is packed up, just need to chuck my food in, make a coffee, and then we're good to go. So I'll show you a little bit of what that entails later. Steps are done, breakfast on, so I've got 5 egg whites, 3 whole eggs, and I'll introduce you to the rest of the clan. So here he is, the OG, the firstborn, Mr. Chappington. What do you have to say to the camera, sir? Well, thank you for that. And of course, we have the star of the show, Mr. Atlas. How are we, son? Woo! Come on, bud. Atlas, come. Look at this. Here he is. Here he is. Come here, pups. Come here. Say hello to all your fans. So just on the way to site now. The phone holder came last night, so just been wrestling around with that this morning. I thought they'd send me like half the stuff. This is just like a thing that sticks on the back of your phone, and they just push it into an air vent, but for some reason I couldn't fucking figure it out. I thought they were missing half of it. So on the way to Leicester
in a quarter of a mile at the roundabout, take the second exit onto Bradgate Hill, A50.
This morning, setting out a building, and they want a bit of a survey as well. So as I mentioned on the walk, I still do this a couple of days a week. I could kind of give up now and just stick to the coaching, but I like to keep myself busy. I do check-ins 3 days a week, so on the other days I like to kind of get out, go to site, and it's nice to feel like you've done a proper day's work sometimes. So rolling the Lamborghini today in absolute luxury in the old Ford Transit Connect. Absolutely.
Exit the roundabout onto Bradgate Hill.
So
continue on A50 for 3 miles.
Today. I don't think there's going to be too much to do, so hopefully it won't be a late one. It's a rest day today anyway, so I've not got loads and loads to do after work. No cardio, so we'll see how active I am at work. If I need steps to catch up on, they'll be done afterwards, but I don't think it should be too bad. If it's a fairly big site, I usually get quite a few in at work. If I get back at a reasonable time, still take the dog out, get a good few thousand in with him. Always makes it nice and easy to get in. It's quite distracting. Obviously steps are easy to get in anyway, but as you get a bit leaner, energy levels drop. It can be a case where it is hard to get out, so having the dog there is great. It just makes you go out and walk him every day anyway. So breakfast has gone down, so you see me cooking that up earlier. That was 5 egg whites, 3 whole eggs, and then I had 150 grams of pineapple as well. So just on the way to work now. Got me Nespresso gold caramel this morning, so proper fancy one. In my rip-off Stanley cup was about £2, but it does the trick. So that'll keep me going on the drive. Got about another 45 minutes left if the traffic's not too bad. So yeah, it should be a steady one really. So on top of the coaching, so like I said, I do this a few days a week, so it varies day to day what I have to do, but generally it's working for ground workers, setting out foundations, setting out brickwork, setting out drainage, roads, anything like that really.
We found a
Could be a
faster
case
route
where
which saves 4
been through
minutes.
some surveys
If
as
you
well,
prefer to stay
so
on the
I think
current
it's a
route,
bit of
tap no,
a rough level
thanks.
survey today. So that'll be a nice easy one. I'll get that done and I'll get that drawn up later today and get that sent over. Obviously do the coaching 3 days a week, and then just got a house I'm doing up at the minute as well. So I think tomorrow is probably where we'll be at. So you'll get to the little renovation property. So that's only started this year. That's a new little venture that I'm doing with my business partner James. The plan is to have it hopefully, well, it was hopefully going to be done end of this month. We've had some delays with trades and stuff like that, so I think probably more towards the end of next month now. But the plan is to rent that out. It's only a little 2-bed terrace. It was like really old, vidified, all like proper old fashioned. There must have been about 1,000 pictures of Princess Diana in there. I think it was a repossession. I'm not sure if the lady died or if she got kind of taken into care or something like that, and the family just wanted rid. So we bought it from an auction, and it was left as it left really. It had everything left in it, photos and furniture and everything like that, so we had to clear all that out. But it's coming along nice now, so full new kitchen, full new bathroom, all new flooring throughout, obviously painted everywhere.
In half a mile, use the second from the left lane to stay on Markfield Road,
blocked that
A50.
up, extended the kitchen a little bit, put some French doors. So I'll take you for a little tour around there tomorrow as well. We can have a look at what's going on. Just something that's not just all bodybuilding really. I mean, I think some people, not necessarily just myself, but other guys who are in like half decent shape, they kind of look at and think, well, you must just gonna go to the gym all day. That's all you do, sit on your arse, and then go and train. But a lot of people have a lot more to them.
Use the second from the left lane to stay on Markfield Road.
Sorry, just listen to the sat nav so I don't get lost. Yeah, so there's a lot of guys.
In 100 yards, at the roundabout, take the first exit onto the A46, east, Slip Road to Leicester, north, Newark.
Families, and you don't always see that. I think it's easy to make an excuse like, well, I could do that, but I've got a full-time job, or I'm really busy, and you kind of make an excuse for yourself. But most of the guys at the top level, like, they've got a ton on behind the scenes. Even the ones who are pro or have sponsors or have successful coaching businesses and things like that, like, they're still super busy. I think obviously the bodybuilding
in a quarter of a mile, merge onto Leicester Western Bike,
so when
head
you have
southeast,
that work ethic to do well
exit the roundabout onto Groovy Road.
Translates pretty well to life. Like,
Continue on Groovy Road for half a
top
mile.
level bodybuilders, like, they're generally quite successful in other avenues of their life as well. I know for me, bodybuilding has definitely taught me some core values that have helped me
In
out
a quarter of a mile, at the roundabout, take the
outside
third
of the
exit
gym.
onto Leicester Road,
Just how I apply
A50.
myself to work, how I can set goals now, and kind of get a plan in place to set goals. Whereas a lot of people, they just do the same stuff day in, day out, and expect to kind of get further along, and it just doesn't work like that. Especially working for a company, a lot of the time you aren't really appreciated, and if you're good at what you do, they obviously like to keep you there. They don't necessarily want to pay you more or promote you or anything like that. So I think you have to be quite aware of yourself and what you're doing, and you have to be quite goal driven to kind of get where you want to be. So just a little bit touch base there, but I'll be back in touch later when we probably get to site. I'll give you a little look around, show you what we're doing, show you some of the kit that we use, and yeah, we'll go from there. So here we are in sunny Leicester. I don't know if you can see, but the weather is horrendous. So what we're doing to start off with, we've had a topo for the site. It's had a couple of existing stations on, so I've just bin farmed them. Probably just about see that, maybe the blue dot on the ground. So basically all that is, it's a little nail. You've probably seen them walking around and not even noticed it. So if you see something like that, or like a yellowy orange sticker with like a crosshair on it, this is more than likely what it is. It's a survey point. So I'm just checking these now with the GPS, just make sure that they tie in with the OS grid. Where the actual site is, it's the other side of this school, so I won't actually see these. I just want to make sure it ties into OS, and then I can use the GPS then to set up my own control points, and then I'll get the total station out and get a little bit more accurate. So with the GPS, it basically just works off the same SIM card that your phone does, connects to the same satellite. So currently connected to 14 satellites, and the signal is actually really bad. It was all right down the other side. It got me within about 30 mil. But at the minute we're still within about a metre. So if I can't get this one, we'll just check the one check and we'll go from there. I'll check the building corners, make sure everything ties in right. But basically at a grammar school today, They're extending the school with like a bridge across and then a sports pitch. So it's a nice simple one. So we've just got to do that. We've got to set the pitch out, set the bridge out, and then there's a ditch around the back that they're using to tie all the stormwater into from site. So I've got to survey that, check the invert levels, and just make sure they've obviously got the right falls to make all the drainage work on site. Catch me in the mobile van office, looking super clean as always. So signal's been fucking terrible on this site. It's very overcast and it's just not very good signal spot. So even phone signal's been very, very poor, and obviously the GPS works off a similar thing. So I've only been able to get 2 nails to be able to connect to survey them basically, but it is enough to kind of get me by. So basically what you'll see, that's what you get when you survey it. You'll get an eastern, a northern, and elevation. So your eastern and northern is your position, and your elevation is your level above sea level. So basically now I've got that on the GPS, I'm just transferring that over to the total station controller, and then what will happen, I'll measure nail 1, I'll measure nail 2. There'll more than likely be some error because it's been used with the GPS. So I'll set up with that, I'll then survey it, and then set up again to reduce the error. So basically all the total station does, it's an EDM, so it measures distance. So what it will do, once I measure each of the nails, it will then be able to triangulate where the actual total station is. So it will triangulate that position, it will know where it is, and then I'll import the drawing. There's just going to be building corners on there basically, and a few other points. I'll import that, and then it knows where I am in relation to those points, so it can direct me to set out the corners of this building. Then there's also the survey of the ditch. So again, once I'm set up, I'll survey that with the total station, and that'll basically be able to plot that ditch on the drawing in where it is basically, in relation to the building, in relation to the existing school, in relation to sea level in terms of the levels, so we can see what fall we've got basically coming out of the building in terms of the storm drainage, and what level we need to tie into in terms of the ditch. So you can just about see the total station through there, other side of the fence. So what I've done, I've measured that nail there under the blue spray. I've measured another one out on the roadside. That's then been able to triangulate the position of the total station. I've then set one more here on stud for one that I'll come on here and set this building out. So basically what it does, because I've measured it with the GPS previously, it gives me an eastern and northern elevation for each one of those nails. I then measure with this and with this back to the total station. It knows a distance there, it knows an elevation, and it tells it basically where that total station is. That can then direct me to set out the rest of the building, because it knows where it is, it knows where I am, because it's measuring to me all the time. And then when I survey that ditch as well, it can plot it on the drawing in relation to the building, in relation to the total station. So if you have a look on there, this is the orange thing is where I am now, it's here. New nail 1 is the blue spray. That 3-2 is the total station. New nail 2, the nail out on the road. And this is a basic layout of where the building's going. So they've sent me this over on a PDF, just some coordinates, not as a DWG. So this is why it's very basic. You've got your building corners here, and then there's a bit of a step out there as well. And then there's a link bridge between the existing school and that. So that's basically all we're doing. Right, so that's work all done for the day. Wasn't probably the best site I could have shown you. There wasn't really a lot going on to be fair. But at some point I'll revisit it and hopefully show you a little bit more of what I do. Because I do get the chance to work on some quite cool projects. So obviously I'll show you some of that. So like even just the one on Monday that I went to, for a company that I do a bit of work for here and there, called Beautiful Basements. Losing the name as to what they do, but basically they do some really kind of like high-end properties. So the one we're doing at the minute is towards like Wolverhampton. I believe the developer is going for like Midlands Home of the Year 2027 or something like that. So basically the company I'm working for, we're purely doing the basement. We're not doing the superstructure or anything like that. But even the basement itself is huge. Like it's a whole footprint of the house. There's gonna be like a garage down there, like a car turnstile down there, a gym down there, a spa down there. Basically, if you're rich, anything.
Stay in the right 3 lanes.
And their projects end up being really cool. So hopefully I'll get to show you some of that at some point. So work's done now, just on the way home. I'm going to do the food shop when I get back. And I don't know if it's just me, but I swear every time I go and do a food shop, it's fucking more expensive. So usually I do 2 shops a week. I prep twice a week, so I'll usually prep on a Thursday and a Sunday, and I swear it's like between like 100, 110 usually each shop. And I'm dieting at the minute and I don't understand it. Like, I swear it's gone up since I started pulling food back. It makes no sense whatsoever. So food is super simple. Like, it's protein, it's carbs, it's some veg, and that's about it. Like, there's not much else. Not buying loads of stuff, not like we've got kids and we're buying snacks and all that kind of stuff. It's just stuff for meals. So I honestly don't get it, but it did get me thinking, like, what would I do now if I was just getting into bodybuilding as a young guy. So back when I first started training pretty young, kind of like 14, 15, but not seriously, just kind of like go to the gym with your mates and that. But I used to train all the way through until I was probably about 20, 21, and that's when I started taking things a little bit more seriously and started pushing things a bit more. But I don't know how so many young people are getting into it now. Obviously, I know their circumstances might be a little bit different to myself. Like, if they're still living at home, maybe obviously got a bit more disposable money. Like, I was out on my own at 17, so money was always quite tight. So things like food, I always had to be really careful in kind of what I bought. So I was just thinking, like, what would I do now if I put myself in like my 17-year-old shoes with like my amount of disposable income once everything else is paid for. And I honestly think I would really struggle now. It was never easy back then, but I definitely think it was easier. Like, even back then, like, I'd never buy like chicken breasts and things like that. That was always like a real luxury. But I definitely think buying cheaper cuts of meat would be the way to go. So if I was that age, and if you are that, apologies, the last one cut off. So yeah, basically what I would do if I was a young bodybuilder getting into sport now, trying to save some money, I would definitely look to buy cheaper cuts of meat. So there'll be no chicken breast, there'll be no expensive steak, there'll be no salmon. I would go for probably whole chickens, to be fair. I think that would be probably one of your best value for money meats. Cook it whole and just strip it. So I wouldn't worry about, right, I've got X amount of breast, X amount of thigh. I would just cook the whole thing up, strip it all down into a Tupperware and weigh it out from there. Usually I do raw weight meat, but for that, it's going to do what you need it to do. At that age, really, you're just worried about building a base. You've not got to refine, you're starting from nothing, you just need to have something. So eat a lot of food, train your fucking ass off, and for the first few years, that's probably going to get you where you need to go. It's only when you get a bit further where you need to look into the intricacies a little bit more. So probably whole chickens I would go for, probably some kind of minced beef, maybe like a 10%. So you're getting, obviously you're getting your protein and you're getting a good bit of fat in there as well, so you've got some extra calories, and it's much cheaper than obviously the really lean stuff. And just look out for offers as well. Like, if there's offers on, like, stock up, get yourself like a macro card or a Booker's card or something like that, and buy like 5 kilos of chicken at a time. I think Costco is overrated. I don't think it's actually that cheap. I used to go there sometimes because I thought it'd be loads cheaper, and it just never really seemed to be. It just meant that you had to buy a lot of something, but per item it didn't really work out much cheaper. So you got your whole chicken, you know, 10% minced beef. I'll see if somewhere you can get cheap eggs from. I remember when I was younger, we used to have like a halal supermarket across from where I used to train, Stanton in Nottingham. So the meat there and the eggs there were super cheap. You used to get 30 eggs for £1.50. So I used to eat a lot of eggs just because it was so cheap. That's where you're going to spend your money really, as on your protein. Your carbs shouldn't be costing you a lot at all. Forget your fucking cream of rice. Like, that should be a no-go. You're paying 20 quid for a kilo of fucking rice. Like, that's absurd. I buy it because I like it, and I'm at a point where I'm able to. But if I was starting out, it's literally like throwing money away. So yourself a big bag of rice, big bag of pasta, big bag of potatoes, big bag of oats. That's your carbs sorted. I'd potentially maybe even get a cheap double whey.
In about 10 miles, take exit 25 onto A52 towards Derby.
When you're newer to the sport and when you're younger, your digestion is a lot more resilient. So now I would struggle if it wasn't an isolate, but back then you'd be absolutely fine. So I might be aging myself a little bit now, 31. I know I don't look it, but much younger. Nobody comment on that one. So protein back then, when I first started training, didn't matter what flavour you had, it tastes like chalk. So you could have banana flavour that tastes like chalk, you could have chocolate flavour that tastes like chalk, or you could have vanilla flavour which also tasted like chalk. So I don't know what was actually in it. Definitely wasn't isolate, it definitely wasn't good. It used to come in a massive basic paint tub, and I survived on that fine. So I think anyone getting into it, just get yourself a good value whey concentrate, even from one of your cheaper places like bulk powders, My Protein, somewhere like that. Stock up on it. Maybe if you get like some birthday money, some Christmas money, something like that, put it to one side, because I do actually think that's quite good value for a protein. Carbs shouldn't cost you much. Your veg, I just get like whatever you can, whatever's on offer. Again, like veg is pretty cheap. You're probably better off buying the fresh stuff if you're going to use it, than if you're going to use it within the time before it goes out. If you're going to be a bit slow and you're not going to use so much, I'd definitely get like your frozen prep stuff, because it's just going to last you way better. And that's all I'd really do. I'd keep it super simple. I won't worry too much about the fat. I would just make sure you're getting in enough protein and you're getting in enough carbs. So people give that Sam Sulek guy a lot of shit for what he eats. And don't get me wrong, as a bodybuilder, like, the foods aren't ideal. Don't get me wrong, I've not seen a ton of his stuff. I just hear kind of what people talk about. But as a young kid, not got a lot of time. You might not be the best at kind of prepping, or you might not have the space to prep a load of food. Like, if you are still living at home with your parents, you maybe have siblings as well. Your mum and dad might not like it if you've got 15 Tupperwares laid out on the counter twice a week. So it may not be possible. So what he does just with his macro tracking, right, grab this, grab that while I'm out, I'm making sure I get X amount of protein and I want this many calories. Like, it works pretty fucking well. Like, don't knock it. You can get away with a lot more when you're younger and you're just trying to grow. I always remember, like, when I first kind of got trained, I was training with lads that were well into their rugby, and that was kind of where they had their base from. So they did a lot of strength and conditioning stuff, but they weren't bodybuilders. And they was always like, it's better to eat something than nothing. So if you're out or you just finished training, you need to grab something, grab a fridge milkshake, grab 2 of them, or a flapjack or something like that. Not ideal, but you got some protein in there, you got some carbs in there, and most importantly, you got plenty of calories in there. So you are going to grow, and that's, at that age, is all you want to do.
Speed camera ahead.
It is what it is. Fat comes off, and it comes off really easily. Especially when you're young, you've got a fast metabolism. You really haven't got to kind of worry about it too much. So that'll be my advice for anyone getting into it. Don't focus too much on the minutiae of, like, well, my favourite bodybuilder does this, my favourite bodybuilder does that. That guy's probably in a much different situation to you, and he probably was super simple when he first got into it as well. So that was my little talk about food and what I would do. I'll probably touch base on some supplements and stuff as well at some point. Just what I think is good value for money, and also what I think is good and what I would spend the money on if I had it. But I think supplement wise, you can stay super simple when you're getting started off. Like, you don't need to be spending your money on a lot of stuff, especially if you're not on cycle, you're not using anything like that, which you shouldn't be. You should have a good couple of years under your belt first, build a natural base before you even look into that side. I think people get into that way too soon. Speak to mate down the gym, he looks great, he's running gear, I'm going to run gear. I had, like I said, I started training when I was kind of 14, 15. I didn't have to do my first cycle until I was 23, so I had like 8-9 years of training before I touched anything. And then when I did, it was test only. There was no, oh, I'm going to do this fucking rip blend, or yeah, I'm going to run tren and anadrol and fucking this SARM, that SARM. No, it's all fucking stupid. You will grow a lot just from eating and training and just being a teenager, if that's the age you're at. Your hormones are through the roof. That's your cycle there and then. Do not fuck that up. If you do, you're an idiot, and it's not going to come and benefit you in the end. So that's a little talk about food. I'll touch base later. So just a little look at what I got on the food shop. So this was the Aldi shop. This came to £79, believe it or not. It's ridiculous. And then I get the rest of it from Tesco. This was a Tesco shop, so short and sweet, but still somehow cost 40 quid. Eat your apple, it's good for you. Do I play with it? Do I eat it? Not quite sure. I'm gonna just lick it for a bit. Sure, that apple is boss. Don't eat the seeds though, you'll have an apple tree go in your belly. Or a tree poking out your bum. It's true.